Hey there, and welcome everybody to our weekly show. We call it Tournament Horse Racing. It's brought to you by Broke Guys Handicapping. My name is Rich Sharp, and I'll be your host for tonight's show. It's not actually one of our regular shows. We're actually going to do a recap of our season, and because last week was the Breeders' Cup, we're going to do a recap of our entire year. So, without further ado, I will introduce my fellow handicappers and my co-hosts and my friends throughout the year in no particular order. I'm going to start all the way over on the East Coast, and thank you for staying up all night and all year for us. Ray Torado, you're over there in Staten Island, New York. You're 3 hours ahead of us. You're also one of my good friends. We've been doing this handicapping together now for, Ray, we're going on 8 years doing this
Mm,
via the internet. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Every Friday this time of the hour, everybody's sleeping, so this is me time.
Yeah, I would, I
If
would,
I'm awake.
I would imagine it is your time. Again, as I mentioned, Ray's our East Coast handicapper. He kind of represents Belmont and Aqueduct, and this year we went to Laurel Park, and Pennsylvania, and all those tracks that are
Parks,
there and things
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
Saratoga.
parks, and you always bring that East Coast perspective for us. I think when we started out, you always kind of had that rivalry feeling and things like that. I think as we've kind of grown together over the years and things like that, we've kind of switched and kind of moved over together and things like that. And there's a
Hmm.
nice, interesting mix between the East Coast and the West Coast. And I always wanted to know. I consider you one of my closest friends. When you come out here for Breeders' Cup and things like that, you always know you've got a place to stay, which is at my house. And I really appreciate
Thank you.
handicapping with you on a weekly basis too. Right.
Yeah, it's awesome. Everybody. Good to see everybody every week.
I'm going to switch over. I'm going to come over here to the West Coast, and I'm going to move just a little bit to the north of me. He's in Menifee, California.
Oh,
Steve Newsom. I haven't known you quite as long as maybe I've known some of the other handicappers, but I think I shared with you before. Uh, you know, I seen you kind of grow with horse racing and handicapping.
Oh
You,
yeah.
you didn't have a whole lot of knowledge when I first started with you, and here you are hanging out with me and Ray and Joe on a weekly basis. I will tell you, over 100 years of handicapping between the rest of us here together. But it's always fun to have you on the show. And if I haven't
Well,
told you,
you know what they say, Rich. You got to hang out with people that are smarter than you to learn.
I appreciate
So
that, man.
oh,
that's
So
thank
much.
you.
that's what I feel like I've been doing. You know.
Absolutely.
But anyway, yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like I had to put my hat on. This is one a buddy of mine got from me because I actually spent some time in Qatar and I didn't grab one of these boonie hats, but he came back and he brought one back for me. So
And I am
that's
remiss. So, Steve, and I am so sorry. This is Veterans Day that we're actually getting together tonight on Broke Guys Handicapping and then again Tournament Horse Racing. And Steve is our lone veteran. So, Steve, thank you so much for your service. Happy Veterans Day
thank
to
you,
you.
thank you.
Yes.
And happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there watching.
All right. Last but not least, certainly, just a little bit to the south of where I live here. I live in Murrieta, California. He lives in Temecula, California. He's married to one of my closest friends. Uh, Sometimes I think he feels a little bit more like a brother to me, Joe. And I don't think I've told you this enough times and like that. I don't think there's anybody who I respect their handicapping skills and their handicapping information, their knowledge of horse racing any more than Joe English. And Joe, it has always been a pleasure to handicap with you. You and me and Ray have done several.
Oh,
Oh, oops,
your
I'm
audio
sorry.
is cutting out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes my iPhone wants to jump in, but we've all done several hundred episodes of this show, and your knowledge always amazes me. You've got an in-depth perspective that brings it to the horse racing game that I really think kind of, speaks for us all here on Tournament Horse Racing. It was once called Three Broke Guys Handicapping. Again, this show's presented to you by Broke Guys Handicapping. And how you been, man?
I'm good, Rich. Thanks. I'm overwhelmed. I don't really know what to say, other than my performance over the past year will show that I don't deserve any of the praise that you're giving me. At least my picks haven't shown it anyway. So, but thank you. I do appreciate
No,
it. I commend.
No,
it
Echo
just
Steve's
it just
sentiment.
shows how hard it is.
yeah, I was gonna say it
Yeah,
shows how hard it
exactly.
is, and the fact of the matter is we're in a tournament format. Does not speak for the fact that Joe and Ray and Steve and I all hang out at the racetrack and have a good time betting ourselves. And again, I'm a testament to Joe's handicapping skills. Again, it's always been a pleasure to handicap with you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And those are really kind words. And hopefully next year I can live up to that.
This is our final show. A little bit of a sad episode for us. We have finished our season. Again, tournament horse racing. We took the horse racing calendar and we broke it up into 4 separate horse racing tournaments. Each of those horse racing tournaments consisted of approximately 10 racing days. I went back and added up. We actually had 41 individual racing days. That's not counting 6 preseason days. So we had 41 racing days in the tournament. The only measurement that we counted was how much money could each horse racing player make. We took $2 win place mythical win place bets in each of those 41 races and throughout the year. And each of the tournaments was broken up, and each of the tournament winners were celebrated at that point in time. We were keeping track throughout the end of the year. And so tonight's show is going to be a duel. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look back at what happened last weekend, which ended up with the Breeders' Cup. And that's going to tell you who won the final tournament of the year. That was called the Road to the Breeders' Cup. And we'll also go ahead and look at our final results for last year, which was the final results for tournament horse racing. So here we go. I will go ahead and share my screen so we can go ahead and take a look at what happened last week.
Taking off my glasses, I don't need.
There you go. And you don't need them, but actually, there you are. You were the winner. This was day one of the Breeders' Cup. The day two. So Joe had actually taken day one at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Stakes. That was a previous show for us. And then on day two, Breeders' Cup day one, which includes the distaff. Not any big numbers there, but Joe did go ahead and take the win there, $15.64. And that left us with same day, Saturday, the second half, which finished with the amazing performance there by Flightline. Again, not exactly a scintillating performance. I did manage to eke out a victory just there over Steve by about $2 with Ray and Joe. That gave me the victory, and we will go ahead and take a final look at the summary for quarter number 4, as I called it, better known as the Road to the Breeders' Cup. And that gave me the final victory for the season, which you see down here. And then also overall for quarter number 4, that gave me $133.62, just about $30 better than my closest competitor there, Ray. To all of the players, congratulations. Fantastic fourth quarter there. Finished up with a kind of exciting Breeders' Cup. And again, a really exciting season. I really appreciated competing against you guys for the entire season. With that,
Congrats, Rich.
we're gonna take one final look. Oh, you know what? Before I go ahead and pull up the year-end totals, which actually has a different competitor like that, let me go ahead and I will stop sharing and I will come back to you guys and I will let you know. I've been sitting on them all year, right? You guys see them? There's the bobblehead dolls that are all sitting there. I've described it before. The final trophy is sitting right there, and believe it or not, it is once again. Well, it is Irad Ortiz. I don't know if you guys can see that there.
Don't you have that one, Rich?
Yeah, I do. This is actually the black base. And Steve, I believe you have the black base. If I showed you guys, if I lean back a little bit, I don't know if anybody can see it, but the Irad Ortiz one that I have back here is actually the red base. So now I've got the red base and the black
Yeah.
base,
Mine's a black base.
and you've got the black base.
Yeah.
I'm kind of selfish, believe it or not. The red base is a little bit more rare.
Of course.
Uh, But I will gladly take that one. Don't be surprised if that ends up in one of the other horse players' stockings, though, because I don't want to load up on too many Irad Ortizes back there, lest I get Tyler or John Velasquez too upset. So um, that's my trophy for winning the fourth quarter. And I will go ahead and share my screen once more with you. And we'll go ahead and take a look at what happened overall for the entire season for tournament horse racing. Again, there were four quarters. We actually started off with quarter number one. Uh, that one is called the Preps. We have a preseason that starts at December 26th with Santa Anita, so we actually take a few warm-up swings. But then we started off with the Pegasus World Cup. And as you see there with Stephen Newsom, our newest player on the show, who actually still took the victory there with 147.60 in quarter number one. And then I managed to take those last three quarters. My season total there was 555. Ray, you came in second, and then Steve and Joe. Those are our finales for the season. And just like I did for Joe last season, the reward for winning here on Broke Guys Handicapping on the second season is I get to become a horse player. I didn't know if Joe had had a chance to exercise his myracehorse.com gift certificate from last year, but if he hadn't, I thought that maybe he and I could team up on a race for this year and kind of have a Broke Guys handicapping horse going into 2023. I would love to be able to find a California horse. I shared with him one time my funny discussion with the people at myracehorse.com, but I will get a $50 gift certificate for myracehorse.com, and that's the victory or the prize for taking tournament horse racing in year number two. And I can't even tell you guys, that's actually about some of the best news I've gotten all year. I really enjoy competing against you guys.
Congratulations, Rich.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Well deserved. You whooped our ass.
Don't need to say any more than that, I guess.
Well,
Okay.
it was a pleasure, as I always say. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the three of you, Joe English, Ray Torado, Steve Newsom. Have you got any final thoughts? This is the last one. Again, we'll get together again right after Christmas, and we'll start recording again and publishing back on YouTube, and we'll be tweeting it out and hoping to enjoy the sport of horse racing with everybody that's out there. But have you got any final thoughts on anything that you saw in 2022? Steve Newsom, you're our newest member. You're the newest person I know that I've introduced to horse racing. What'd you think about
Yeah. Well,
2022?
you taught me darn near, between the three of you, and probably more so Rich than anybody else. That you guys have taught me more about horse racing than anyone. And so I think I just need to copy you a little bit more, Rich.
Oh,
Just kidding.
Ray,
Are you, Steve? Are you complimenting us or blaming us?
yeah,
No, I'm
exactly.
absolutely complimenting you guys. I'm absolutely
I'm not
complimenting
sure
you
which
guys.
way you're going
I'm
with this,
blaming
so I
myself
don't know how to react
for
yet.
not following you guys more, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Ray, I love you, brother. You're my East Coast connection. I think I've mentioned it to you, but I dropped the hint in 2023. The Breeders' Cup is back at Santa Anita. I believe
Mm,
I believe a reunion could be in order. And
very possible.
what did you think about 2022? What was your final thought? What was that moment for you in 2022?
Well, um, I'm happy that we kind of got back to some sort of normalcy in the schedule
Right.
of life. And,
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
every, it's funny about horse racing that, we always enjoy is that looking forward to the next week and the week after and seeing all these horses develop and how the trainers maneuver them back and forth to different places and you know like you said, we see this almost basically so many of the same horses because they're just all in the same, like types of races and things like that. And, you get to know them so well that sometimes you can even look at a race that you don't even need a form because you've seen them. And,
Yeah, you see
that's
them
the
five
love
or
of
six
the
times
sport is that
already.
how,
Yeah, yeah,
that's the love of the sport is that, and looking forward to the future next year and this and that. And, like who's the next star, who's the next this, who's the next this, next that. And, handicapping will always present a challenge. There's so many obstacles. Sometimes you just have to learn to go with your gut feeling and stick with it. And, and you always have to remember that, these numbers that are on the paper are from past performances. And you don't know how the horse is going to be that day or what the trip they're going to get or whatever's going to happen. So many variances. And, that's the love of it is that, you don't know until the race is run.
Yeah,
Favorites go down, long shots win, all these things, and that's just the joy of it, the like they say, the test of the champion, and the all these things. So, it's very enjoyable, and every Friday night I look forward to this, because this is what we got,
I agree.
and you know I wish we could always get together more often and stuff like that in person, but of course
yeah.
that's a challenge, but this is good enough, and so let's just enjoy this,
Cool. Definitely. All right, Joe.
Mm.
Joe English, as I mentioned before, one of my oldest friends, one of my closest friends. I don't know if there's anybody other than maybe my father. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure even my father didn't quite go to as many horse races with me and watch them as on site and handicap as often as I have with you. Kind of like a brother to me. And wanted to know what'd you think about 2022 as far as horse racing was concerned?
Well, it's funny. Ray mentioned it, getting together and being in person, and this is the first time I've been to Saratoga in, I don't know, roughly a decade.
Oh God,
It
that's
was
right.
cool
Yeah.
to just hang out
Yeah.
with Ray for the weekend, Rob, and a couple of other friends that I hadn't seen in person in quite a long time. So that was obviously a highlight.
Hmm.
Wow.
And I mean, Ray mentioned too, about looking forward to what the next superstar is and who the next superstar is, and that's what the Breeders' Cup Friday was about. But I mean, there's also part of it is sadness in realizing that you're not going to see certain horses anymore. You won't see how brilliant Flightline's going to be as a 5-year-old. Uh, won't see horses like Jackie's Warrior, who obviously didn't run his best on Breeders' Cup Day, but horses that were brilliant throughout the year, and a lot of horses who retired. Even if you go across the pond, Baid was so spectacular in Europe. Even he lost his last race, and again, he's another that you won't see. But there's always something to look forward to, as Dave mentioned. There's always the 2 year old. There's always the yearlings. I'm trying to think. It's funny. Maybe next year I should do a list of who the first time sires are going to be, who the horses that we're going to see next year. You'll see Catholic Boy, a horse I ended up seeing at
Oh God,
Claiborne
that's right.
Farm when
Yeah.
I went there last year in 2021. You'll see, all the new sires that are going to you're going to see their 2 year old come August, July and August and June of next year. So, like Ray said, there's always something to look forward to, even though it's bittersweet because you won't see, like I said, how brilliant Flightline was this year in his 3 starts and 6 starts over his career. But I guess you have to look forward. So let's look forward to a good 2022, 2023, starting with the day after Christmas, which is Monday, 26th of this.
Well, that about sums it up. That's how we do it here on Tournament Horse Racing. I'm speaking for Joe English and for Ray Torado and for Steven Newsom. It's been a fantastic season. Again, we are coming back December 26th. Tournament Horse Racing will kick it off. We'll have our little preseason, and then we'll be back all next year in 2023 because all four of us love horse racing. It's kind of what we love to do, and we enjoy sharing our thoughts and our opinions here with you. Here on Tournament Horse Racing, it's brought to you by Broke Guys Handicapping. Again, guys, it's always a pleasure to handicap with the three of you.
Mhm.
Yes, it is.
Good
All
night,
right.
everybody. Happy holidays and good luck.
Right.